Are we ready? We're good? We're calling meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Should I wait? All the field notes for the class. Okay.
Whoever's not here, we just will email them to the school. We can distribute them later.
Let's do it.
Good evening, everyone. We're calling the town board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to adopt or amend the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt or amend the agenda?
I'm gonna, we have one amendment. We're gonna put under new business to recognize the boys basketball team up after as a public presentation. So that's the amendment we're making to the agenda.
We also need an amendment to include an application for the Kinderhook Republican Committee to hold a meeting in the gym.
That will be under,
Which she is
Yep,
item number 6. It'll
G,
be.
yep, 6G, or G.
you'll remind me when we get there.
Yep. So now we can make a motion to. I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll second that motion.
John seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to amend or accept the minutes of March 7th and amend the February 7th meeting as well.
I'll make that motion.
I'd like to second that.
We do have suggestions for amendments to be made to the March 7th meeting that I'll have Kim review since she wrote the minutes and we can go from there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can I second it?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes to reflect the changes as outlined right there. Motion to authorize budget transfers, appropriations, and any amendments, if any. Motion to pay audited vendors' claims. The March bills for the A fund are $15,776.46. The B fund is $2,260, and the DB fund is $35,611.85. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Bill? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're at the public presentations. Oh,
Correspondence.
I'm sorry, motion to accept and direct all correspondence.
I'll make a motion that we accept and direct all correspondence.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second? Opposed? No, okay. Now we're ready for public presentations. John Casey wants to present that for us?
Congratulating the Ichabod Crane High School boys varsity basketball team upon the occasion of capturing the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Basketball Class B Championship on March 20th, 2022. Whereas the town board of Kinderhook is justly proud to congratulate the Ichabod Crane High School boys varsity basketball team upon the occasion of capturing the 2022 basketball Class B championship. And whereas the number 2 ranked Riders found themselves down double digits to the number 8 ranked Friends Academy and completed a thrilling come from behind 63-62 victory to capture Ichabod Crane's first boys basketball title on Sunday, March 20th, 2022 at Cool Insuring Arena in Glens Falls, New York. And whereas the Riders' Brett Richards was MVP of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association state tournament, he also captured his 1,000th point during postseason play. And whereas, proudly donning the school's colors of blue and white, family, classmates, and the community supported the Riders throughout their journey as they ended their season with an impressive 21-7 overall record. And resolved that the town of Kinderhook board shall pause in its deliberations to congratulate the members of the Ichabod Crane High School boys basketball team. Jason Borelli. Quinn Rapport. Aiden Autry. Avery Clifton. Brady Holzhauer. Jack Mullins. Dylan McCrud. Dylan Caldwell. Great job. And Daniel Warner. Head coach Will Ferguson.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. We get to keep this? Those in school.
Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I will.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mike. Rookie coach Christopher Muller. Dave Dillon. Tom Cole.
Down here, shit. Thank you very much.
It is resolved, copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the members of the Ichabod Crane High School boys varsity basketball team. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Right here.
Here. Oh, here.
That's for you guys too.
Okay. This is a certificate of recognition for the Ichabod High School boys varsity basketball team.
Thank you. Good. Good. Oh, yeah. It's got a camera.
I can take
We can take a picture.
Yes, we'll take a picture.
Yeah. Come on up.
Yeah, come right on. Okay.
In front of the chalkboard there.
Go make up yourself.
So these are such pictures that 30 years from now will be in the paper. So make sure you smile. Great. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Great.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Whoop, that one. Another one. Sorry, guys. No, that's okay. Thank you.
Just in case.
Let's go for that.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Philip. I waved to you earlier. I thought you saw me, sorry. Yeah, I thought we were already past that.
We're on to committee and departmental reports. Recreation Director Barbara Berger.
Just a couple of quick reports I wanted to make. I'm sorry the boys left, because our Memorial Day parade is coming up, Monday, May 30th, and of course you're all invited to be in it. I hope everyone will show up. I was just thinking, we'll call the boys, see if they want to march in the parade too. It'll be fun. It's going to be, the village of Kinderhook is hosting it this year, so, and they've been great to work with. They're kind of taking on, making up the flyers, doing the correspondence, doing refreshments, so they've really been wonderful. The flyers will be coming out this week, so I'll make sure that we get them to you just to look over before we start posting them. The parade will be in the village, the ceremony will follow in the village green. Tom Brown will be leading that ceremony for us. The pastor from the Kinderhook Church, the Episcopal Church, will be doing our prayers. So we're kind of gearing up towards the village for this time around. But everything's going well. We're going to be honoring Harold Williams, who is a former postmaster of the nation. He'll be turning 100. We're getting great response from all the different groups. The Ichabod Crane Band will be there, sports teams, scouts, the choirs, and lots of festivities. So we encourage everyone to come out and join us. And you may get to ride with cars too. Maybe you may have to walk. And then quick notes on summer camp. The summer camp, we're still working on getting that up, but we're doing very well with our staff. Our director is coming back, our assistant directors, with 2 of them coming back. 7 of last year's counselors are coming back, so we only need, we have 2 more we're hiring. So we only need about 3 more to meet the state requirement, for our counselors. Registration forms are all done. April's going to put one up on the website. We'll be putting those out by email to all of last year's campers as well. No big changes to report. We've kind of talked with Tim about the prices, and it was decided that we'll keep it the same price as last year, which is $150 for the 6 weeks of summer camp, $35 if you're in the country. One of the other changes we're going to do is we're going to include 7th graders. It usually went kindergarten to those entering the 6th grade. And this year we decided to, and let me back up and say, because I got several letters from parents, as well as some of the kids wrote in asking if we would consider extending camp to include the 7th graders. Last year's group was 9 boys, I'm thinking 6th graders, so there were 9 boys, 2 girls. So it's a small group. I think for the most part, they like to have, sports in the afternoon. They run around. The parents were all very encouraging, saying, rather than having them on their iPads or Xboxes, if they want to be outside, let's get them outside. We referred it to him and he agreed to that, that might be a good thing to try for this year. So we hope that those boys will also take on a little peer leadership kind of roles too, that they won't just be there for all the fun, but hopefully we'll encourage them to come back as future counselors eventually, so they can start learning the ropes this year. The other thing that parents really did like last year was staying on site, not taking a whole lot of trips all over. So that's our plan for this year again. We may take one field trip, that will be it. Otherwise, we will keep everybody on site and bring people in. We'll have community safety days. We'll do the librarians coming in to read. We'll do our bicycle rodeo, all those kind of fun things that the kids really enjoy. And that keeps them on site, I think, a little safer as far as the parents are concerned. And I think that's that all. So the forms, I will also print them off and leave them here in the offices for anybody who's looking for them. Okay. Are there any questions, any concerns? Okay.
We're
Thanks,
happy you're
Barbara.
doing this.
Yes, we are. You do a great job.
And now on to the Climate Committee, Partners for Climate Action, presentation by Clara Humphreys. This is Phil's department.
Did we get that correct?
Not quite, but that's okay. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Tara will make
I have,
a presentation and followed by Vanessa, who we have.
Nice. All right, so I'm just gonna,
Yes,
I have a handout.
Yes.
It's an informal presentation. So heard Phil and his work with the Climate Smart Committee in the town of Kinderhook. The town formed a Climate Smart Committee, and then with a resolution and support from the town board, submitted to NYSERDA what's called a scoping document, which is basically an outreach and education plan for something called a community solar or solarized campaign. And what this is really about is getting towns and municipalities through the Climate Smart program to educate, spread awareness about community solar, this thing that is a program. It's a state program. It's not a scam. It's not a third-party energy supply arrangement. It's basically a subscription arrangement to a solar project. And then there's companies like our company that bid on this campaign through the county Climate Smart Committee. It was about a year-long process, and the county chose our company to spread awareness, working with municipalities, residents, and businesses to educate them about community solar, which again is a state program which enables everybody to reap the financial rewards of this transition that we're seeing before our eyes, transitioning to renewable energy for our utility grids. It's a program that's sweeping the country. There's 28 states in the country currently doing some version of the community solar program. And it's an opt-in program, which means it's your choice. Everybody has a choice, and you can choose to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. And what you're getting in exchange as an incentive for subscribing is some savings that will appear on your electric bill. That shows up as what they call solar credits or credits. And in the early days of community solar, it was a little convoluted. It was difficult to explain to people because the billing of the solar electricity that's being passed on to your electric bill had a 2 billing process, but we're past that now. We've had passed legislation a couple of years ago. It took 2.5 years to implement. So now the utilities are mandated to pass these credits to your utility bill for being a subscriber, and then there's a discount of those credits that happens right on your bill. And the credits are discounted by 10%, and that's your savings. So if you received a $100 credit on your electric bill, you'd see some mathematics on there, And the 10% savings would be a $10 savings, which is then deducted from the amount that you owe the electric company. And so New York State is laser focused on reaching certain carbon reduction goals, and this is one of the paths forward. The statistics are roughly 75% of the population cannot or will not ever have their own solar panels. And that's for various reasons. They don't own a roof, they don't have the right roof, they have too many trees, they don't have enough money, their credit, they can't take a loan for a solar system. You know, there's lots of obstacles and barriers to taking advantage of renewable energy. So when they build these projects, these solar farms, which, to be clear, they're not utility scale projects, community solar projects are usually 25 to 40 acres. They try to use non-viable agricultural land or retired grazing land. There's a lot of great studies that are being done with something called agrivoltaics, which is combining agriculture with solar fields. And again, it's not for everyone. Some people are going to be opposed to the solar farms. They don't like to see the solar panels. But this is a way for whoever wants to participate in our transition to renewable energy to reap some benefits. You're grandfathered into the savings for up to 25 years. And you can cancel at will. We ask for a little advance notice because we have to turn off the credits with the utility, and utility timelines can be a little hairy. And so what Kinderhook is getting out of all of this for spreading this awareness and teaching folks and, you know, utilizing our company to help people understand what it's all about. Kinderhook with 10 enrollments will receive $5,000 from NYSERDA. Now, the kicker is there's 12 of these grants left in the entire state. And in Columbia County alone, there's 5 towns/villages that have piggybacked on the county's solarized campaign. So if you think about it, just in Columbia County, there's 5 towns vying for those one of those 12 that are left. So all we need is 10 enrollments. We'll keep going as long as you guys want us around to keep working with you and helping people sign up, because there's some great kickers. There's an incentive that comes back to the municipality. There's an incentive for signing on that's a special incentive for just county residents that sign up of $100. And the subscription to community solar is about equivalent to a month of free electricity per year. So it's not life-altering savings. It's a little bit of savings. Some people will welcome that savings, and some people, frankly, want to be part of this movement to bring more renewable energy onto our grids, because the more demand there is for renewable energy, the less demand for fossil fuel generated electricity. So essentially, when each person signs up, it's creating a bigger pipeline of demand for these projects. And the projects aren't successful unless people sign up. So that's basically the gist of it. We need to get 10 enrollments in the town as soon as possible. I know Claverack is close to Germantown, Ghent, and Kinderhook, I think, are the towns that are looking to get this incentive. And I think Claverack is close to their 10, so they're hoping to submit it by the end of the week. So the sooner we can get this submitted to NYSERDA, we'll get this $5,000. And then as far as when people will see the credits, they'll start seeing the credits probably by the end of the fall, beginning of 2023, somewhere in that timeline. So there is a wait, but we communicate frequently with folks so they don't feel like we've forgotten about them, and let them know, hey, you're going to see your credits in the next month, and so on. The second page of the flyer is instructions on how to sign up, and it's pretty simple, and my contact information is all over the place. So, any questions about this?
You go first.
So basically, we have to have solar farms in order to do this.
Yeah, this
But-
is, we're very,
Not here.
not in Columbia County, just in National Grid. So, good point. So the projects that we are, working with are actually one in, outside of Watertown, in a very rural part along the Canadian border. It's in National Grid territory. Another one outside of Utica in National Grid territory, and then 2 projects are out near Buffalo. So the way community solar works is you can subscribe to a solar project if there's one that's taking customers or subscribers in your utility territory. It just so happens that National Grid is a very large utility territory in New York. So, none of the projects are local here.
And is it done by residents or by person? Like if I own 2
It's
separate places?
residential or small commercial,
So if I own a house and then an apartment?
yeah, then we
okay,
do both,
2 separate,
yeah. And I can walk you through that, and we'll get a little dicey adding, so I can help you with that.
What's their separate bills?
right, yeah, the separate bills.
Separate
If it's
bills, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
So my question was, so once this kicks in, you get the electric bill and you pay it. Do you get a credit for the next month's bill, or how does that work?
No, actually, what happens is, once the project has been connected to the grid for a couple months, they wait for 2 meter readings. So there's some credits that actually get banked in your name, and then they pass those credits to your utility bill, and you'll see the discount, that 10%, 90% goes back to the owner of the solar farm, 10% goes to the subscriber. The 90% is for the cost of the electricity and maintaining the projects, keeping them up to snuff. And so, yeah, that's basically how it works. Any other questions? I can pass, does anybody else want to? Yeah. Great.
What was the next?
He wants one here.
No, thank you, Carla.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And I hope to help you get your $5,000
Yes.
and.
How many people are here?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Okay, I have a question on that. Who keeps track of the tenants?
We do.
You do?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do.
There's another company too that the county.
There
There are 2
is,
other
but they
companies?
haven't shown up.
So if 4 people sign up with that other company,
Yeah, they just,
who will coordinate that the 10 came from Kinderhook Town?
so there's, the other company that was chosen through the bidding process was Nexam, and they haven't submitted their paperwork yet to the county, so they're not listed on the county website anywhere. I don't know if they're backing out. I don't know, I can't answer that, but if they get around to getting their stuff on there but we're short on time, so we kind of hope they do if they're going to. They would keep track of Kinderhook, we would keep track, we'd both submit a report to Phil. Phil will send it off to the folks that he's working with that are helping him out at NYSERDA.
And how does it work with the 2 villages inside the town? Like if I live in the village, I sign up,
You're still in the town.
so it counts for the town too.
It counts for the town because the village is in the town, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The village,
Yes.
Kinderhook did a solarized last summer.
Exactly, so I just wondered, and they, so how did that, so they.
They were great. I actually was working with them, but our company merged with Neighborhood Sun back in the fall, so we became Neighborhood Sun. Sorry for that confusion, but yeah, we worked with the village last summer, and I think we ended up with 32 enrollments.
The other one.
Oh, hi,
Yeah, I
Bill.
am.
And how many did Solstice?
Got 25.
Yep.
So you got the money, so that was good.
Oh, yeah, we got the grant from NYSERDA and the incentives from both companies. Yes.
Hello, you mentioned solstice,
Yes, we did.
how does that work?
That's not included with the town.
No, they didn't, yeah.
No, because our church signed up for solstice, the Glacier Church is there,
Great.
so.
Good people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, speaking of solar, Vanessa Bertozzi from Climate Action Hudson Valley, local champions, with another program.
Yeah, so,
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, and nice to meet
Yeah,
Kara
you
in
as
real
well.
life. So my name is Vanessa Bertozzi, and thank you for having me. I want to say I'm actually in my, not for this, what I'm presenting today, but my other job is I'm on the village board of Rhinebeck. So I do appreciate the work that you put in. I know how time consuming it is, so I'll try to keep this brief. My name is Vanessa Bertozzi, and my co-director named Paige Ruane, we run a project called Local Champions. And we're backed by Partners for Climate Action Hudson Valley, which is a nonprofit. So we raise money, and then we launch this program to help towns and villages do all sorts of climate change actions. And what I want to talk to you tonight about is a program called Local Champions, where we ran a pilot last year with 6 towns, Germantown, kind of Rochester, Hurley, Copate, Uniondale, and Northeast. And it was a great success, so we're running the program again. This time we're looking for 10 towns or villages that want to sign up. And I know Bill is here, maybe village and town could both apply to the program. A little bit about the Local Champions program, as Phil mentioned, there's solar, but there's also so much more to this transition that Kara is talking about, that we have to undertake because of climate change. And the New York State Climate Smart Communities program is the state program that basically provides a framework to towns and villages all across the state of all the actions that we need to do. And because climate change is so sprawling and it touches everything, there's over 100 actions. There's a lot of things, a lot of work to do. And so what we're trying to do is create a ramp for towns and villages into that program and give them a bit of a leg up, because 100 actions, it can be quite overwhelming. So we help orient them. And so who should apply to this Local Champions program? The really interesting thing about Climate Smart Communities is that it's a partnership between a volunteer or volunteers and the board and staff of the municipality. So it's bringing together citizens as well as leadership. And I know that you already have a Climate Smart Communities Task Force, which is exactly what we're talking about. So typically the task force coordinator is the person to apply to the program, but working in collaboration with someone like you, Phil, or the rest of the board. So eligibility, we're open to municipalities within Columbia, Dutchess, Greene, and Ulster counties. We think there's about maybe 50 municipalities in total that we're targeting. So far, we've heard of interest from about 15, and we're looking for 10. So chances are pretty good if you want to apply. And our sweet spot, or who we're looking for, are folks who have just gotten their task force together and are really starting to commit to these actions and to figure out what the plan is. Because a lot of what we provide is that orientation to help you get started and develop a roadmap that's customized to what you want to focus on. So, I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but Climate Smart Communities, I think there's over 350 municipalities in New York State that are said that they want to do the program, but only about 90 have actually reached certification. So you get certified when you reach a certain number of actions that you have accomplished, and so it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie. And there's also a lot of acronyms. It's pretty governmenty. So there's a lot of, that New York State bureaucracy is for real. But that's why we're here to help folks navigate that, because that can be intimidating if you're new to working with local government. I'm sure you all knew at one point, right? There's a lot of acronyms. So we bring in partners that also are there to hold your hands through the process. We work with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and they literally are kind of like your buddy as you work through our Local Champions program. And then we also bring in experts like a grant writing coach and engineering and planning expert. And these services are also, those are one-on-one kind of coaching hours that you get, but then we also bring in these 10 towns together, and we Zoom together, and we have weekly meetings where we work as a cohort to kind of support each other through the program. And so there's a lot that we learn from experts, of course, but we also just learn a lot from spending time with other people in the same position in other towns. So that's really cool too. And we work on building outreach to the community. So kind of what you were talking about, Kara, how do we engage with the community around these topics? I should say it is a free program. There's no charge. This is funded by philanthropic dollars. And in fact, if you have a volunteer who wants to step up and do our program, if money is a barrier to entry for them to be able to commit the hours it takes to do this work, they can opt into an $8,000 fellowship. It's going to pay them for their time to do the program. So we're really trying to remove any barriers to entry. Not everyone can just volunteer, it really depends. We have a lot of awesome retirees who are like, no, I'm good, I'll do this as a volunteer, but some people need some help to spend their time in that way. So the application is due May 2nd. And I would be happy to speak with your Climate Smart Task Force, or any of you on the board if you have any questions. The application is up live on our website, as well as a recording of an info session. And yeah, we're here to help and encourage town of Kinderhook to apply.
Excellent. Thank you. That sounds great. Yeah. Good. Yeah, if I could take some water.
Yeah. Yeah, and the problems that can be solved to get started.
Yeah, please reach out and call.
Good. All right. Thank you so much.
I think we're good right now. Yeah, and then I'll get hold of you to talk to our Climate Smart Committee. Okay? Thank you. Back to Rhinebeck? Thank you so much.
You know, the best part about this Champions offer is that, to Vanessa's point, is that so many of these committees are volunteers, and it's so hard to get anything done with this complex sort of roadmap. So if you can have somebody that's actually working, even part-time, like dedicated, it makes such a huge difference. You can actually get things accomplished.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.
Phil, get your dog. I can get it. Oh, no, I got
Moving along, the building department, I see is not here, so we don't have that report. Anything else to be announced here?
No.
So we don't need a motion to accept committee and department reports, do we?
We did skip these.
Barbara, yeah. Okay, a motion to accept committee and department reports?
I'd like to make that motion to accept those.
Jason second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now we've got a public hearing for the Matterville fire truck bond. Are there any comments for the?
Well, you need a motion though.
Open, I'm sorry. Motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
So what this, yeah, I can explain. So what this is the Niagara Fire Department is looking to do a bond to purchase some firefighting apparatus equipment to the tune of about $674,000. There is no financial obligation on behalf of the town. but pursuant to their regulations, and hearing from their bond counsel, under the Internal Revenue Code, because they are a local fire department, the town board has to have a public hearing just for comment. And so that's why this was scheduled. So that's what's occurring today.
So the fire company takes out the bond.
Correct,
Okay.
right. It's not on the town's books, it's not their obligation, but they're required to hold the public hearing.
Are there any comments for or against?
Is anybody from the fire department here?
They're having a meeting tonight. Starts at 7. Are there written comments? I didn't see them. So,
You do a motion to close.
Make that motion to close.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. What do we have to do? Just approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then basically there's there's just a notice that,
The
say the
purchasing
elected official had the public hearing.
Do we need a motion to approve?
Yeah, I would recommend a motion to authorize Tim to sign, the, section 147F agreement.
I'll make a motion, we allow Tim to sign the section 147F agreement, so that the Narberthville Fire Department can, do the Narberthville fire truck bond.
Casey seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public comment. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Karen Watt. I am a resident of the town of Kinderhook, and it's very timely, I guess, that I came to the meeting tonight with the presentation on the solar, which I think is great, not against solar. And something that one of the presenters mentioned to me about, the state with the grants, giving it to these solar companies to put on 25 to 40 acre non-viable retired grazing land is what kind of stuck out to me. And that's exactly why I'm here, because that would be great. But when that's not the case and they seek out prime farmland, that's what I'm here to address tonight. So pardon me for reading, because I didn't want to forget anything I want to say. It's not real long, but I just wanted to hit every point. Some of the more rural residents of the town of Kinderhook have been attending the town planning board meetings. So first of all, I'd like to recognize the town planning board and address the town board tonight for continuing to engage in responsible due diligence with regard to the new proposed solar law, in particular, the Tier 3 installations. Hopefully, all concerned continue to carefully evaluate the location of these commercial facilities. They're not farms, they're facilities. With the state grants for these projects, solar companies are looking for locations that require very little prep. And farmland, which is already cleared, relatively flat and wide open, are their first choice in many cases. While these locations are perfect for the solar companies, are they good for the agricultural environment in the town of Kinderhook? Short-term benefits to landowners and residents may make installation appealing, but please keep in mind the short and long-term environmental impact of such facilities. Some solar companies lease the farmland, but there are clauses in some of those leases stating that land cannot be farmed for 10 years after the facility closes or is decommissioned. That's due to the potential leaching of toxins from damaged solar panels. Short-term impacts affect property values, local crop production, vegetation, wetlands, and wildlife. Bottom line is, please consider approving Tier 3 solar installations on land that provide the desired energy goals, but don't negatively impact the rural prime farmland in the town. The New York State Department of Ag and Markets and the Farmland Protection Board have issued guidance based on environmental studies. The Planning Board is aware, and those of us residing in the more rural areas of the town appreciate their work on the new solar law. As a matter of fact, there are currently bills being put before the state legislature to stop the use of farmland for these commercial solar facilities. We also appreciate the town board's careful and thorough consideration of all factors, carbon emissions, financial, and environmental, when approving commercial solar installations in the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Do we also have that as a written correspondence or
I just put it on my phone so I wouldn't forget. Would you
Can you
like
send
to?
it to
You
us?
could get it to us, email
Yeah.
it
How would
to
you
us.
like me to send it?
By email to,
Town clerk at kinderhook-ny.gov. I can give you my card after.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed? Mr. Simons?
I'm sorry, Tim. I have I'll say a few comments. First, you have to marvel at basketball players in particular, both male and female, the level of skill that they show when they can throw that damn ball from half court and put it right through the hoop. You have to marvel at how many hours it takes, how many hours of practice it takes to acquire that skill. It is amazing. I've watched, I guess, particularly in the school that I used to teach in, I always marveled at how skillful they were. Now the skill level is way up here somewhere. It's hard to separate, or no offense, it's hard to separate the skill levels by sex. It's just phenomenal. Now, obviously, not only are these young folks dedicated, their parents are dedicated too. Don't forget that. With respect to the solar law, okay? Well, one of the unfortunate things for me is, I guess I read too much, okay? I subscribe to too many publications that deal with environmental issues. So it's difficult for me, particularly as part of the Climate Smart Committee, to see the direction that they've gone in and this so-called proposed new solar law, which to me is a sham, okay? First and foremost, what we seem to neglect is the conservation end of the whole spectrum. Thus far, we've engaged in very little with respect to saving and protecting what we do and what we use today, for crying out loud. And there's a lot, I have yet to see anybody at the Climate Smart Committee to come up with a list of proposed conservations, right? We're rushing forward to want to build more and more solar farms. Well, anybody read the newspaper? Anybody watch TV? Do you see what's occurring as it moves across the United States? The amount of arable, farmable land is decreasing at an enormous rate. And a large part of that has to do with water, right? You don't have water. Tim knows, can't grow corn, can't grow anything without water. So it seems we're running out of potable water. We're contaminating the hell out of the ocean. So no matter where you throw something, hook in, you're gonna pull up some garbage. It's just that it's very depressing for me to watch what's occurring. And the other thing that's happening while all this is going on, the population is going like that, right? Population goes up, the available arable farmlands goes down. We're going to put solar farms every square inch of ag land, and it's not so easy to turn it back, to clean it up and use it again. See, Tim agrees with that. It was absolutely outrageous. To me, in the town of Kinderhook, I gotta tell you, I first stepped around Kinderhook ground in the late 30s, a long damn time ago, okay? When people were farming horses and we had the introduction of steel wheel tractors. That's how far back I go with respect to farming. I was not a farmer. Our neighbors were farmers, and they farmed with horses, for crying out loud. A lot of changes have occurred. Well, we got to get on the bandwagon for the changes. Baloney, right? We got to stop and think about where we've been, where we're going to go, and how we can protect what we have.
and the protection of arable, farmable land, to me, is absolutely the most important thing. And I don't see it. I don't see it by this committee. I don't see it by the town board. I don't see it, very frankly, anywhere. Right? And my words, are they going to create a change? I doubt it. I doubt it. You know, being Tim and I were on the planning board together for a long time, and you know Tim, long time. Anyway, and we had many concerns. Environmental was always first. What's the first thing you do before you approve a project? What do you look at first? You look at the environment first. At least we're supposed to look at the environment. I digress. I don't see why we aren't working on conservation for crying out loud. I understand the demand for electricity. I understand we have to try to fill that supply that demand without the use of carbon-containing substances, whether it's coal or oil or whatever. For crying out loud. Just one thing, because I don't know the answer. Do the students in Ichabod Crane High School, do they get to drive to school? You know, I don't know. I know they shouldn't be, because the school buses are still traveling around all out in the countryside to pick up the kids. And the buses keep driving, and the kids keep driving to school. All right? It's me. There's one. Try to plug that hole. Holy smoke, you'll probably get electrocuted. Okay? So anyway, I'm dismayed. I thank you for not following through on the 3-minute thing. The last time you said it's going to be gone from the agenda. Here it is again. Okay. Good luck on that score. Anyway, thanks for listening. Well, one thing I have to thank all of you, everybody that's involved in the fire department, the planning board. This is what makes our community work. Without it, we fall flat on our face. And I feel there too, we don't do enough to acknowledge the efforts of those folks, and to acknowledge the folks that are gone. And the other day, I thought of one in particular, was George Wynn. I think his first name was George. Anyone ever know him? See if I got it right. He was the town supervisor at one point. And he was in the war, and he came back minus one leg, and he became a mail carrier. All right? So he delivered mail here in the town of Kinderhook. He was our neighbor, Darren Fisher Road. Okay? But he also served as the chairman, the town supervisor here in town of Kinderhook. To me, somehow, you can't do it, I guess. You want to reach back for people like that, people like Congo, that put so much of their humanity, their time into social human services. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Any more comments?
Yeah.
You can count that one?
I have, I can never. I have just a couple questions. First question is the roadways into Volunteer Park, the one that, you know where I'm going, right? They're really bad with the potholes, and on the Opportunity Way road that goes into the dog park, it's even worse now because of all the heavy equipment that was there. I'm sure you guys have heard this, I'm guessing. But
It's that time of the year.
yeah, a lot of people are opting not to come to the dog park just because it's really bad on their car. And you'll know if you go there, you'll see that more and more people, and I've done it once, I'm not gonna lie, are driving kind of over on the grass just to avoid the massive potholes. And that's just gonna eventually like continue to widen that road, you know, and it's just gonna ruin the place. So that's not ideal either. So That was my first thought. My second thing was, I'm curious who the concession stand for the softball fields, that I guess is non-functional. Is that put in by the softball league?
Little League.
Is that, like, for instance, I feel like economy-wise, it would be great if it could be fixed up, because then we could actually hold tournaments here in town if we bring in people, shopping places.
Yeah,
They did.
they actually,
It's,
I think they talked about replacing it, but that's
No.
all,
it's all the Little League.
Right, my only thing is, like with the dog park, for instance, it's in our contract that like we have to keep our stuff up. And like it's our, you know what I mean? So to have a building that's just literally rotting.
I could be corrected, but I think before COVID, they were actually here, anyway, that they were actually in front of the planning board, right, for replacing
In the town board.
the concessions.
Yeah, to do
Oh,
a,
yeah.
yeah, they were going to do a pretty substantial improvement. They'd gone to the rec committee, we had sent them there, and then, and again, no one likes to hear that, right? We've heard it too much the last 2 years, but, I mean, it was probably in January of that year that they were here, I believe, sometime around then. Soon thereafter, obviously, all the programs shut down. So we
It's
can
just I know a
certainly
lot
look
of
into
the
that.
You're right.
a lot of the kids would like to have
wasn't the
home field
talks.
advantage and all that good stuff, and be able to have their tournaments here at home as well.
Yeah, they wanted to increase the size and actually increase the ability to have storage of equipment. Yeah, no, it was a pretty ambitious program.
They had renderings and they were going
And the
through
reason
process.
was is they had an opportunity for some trusses, if you recall. So there was a chance for them to get those trusses because I think someone
Oh, sure.
had, ordered them and then not taken them. So there was a builder connected with the
Right.
Little League that said, look, I can get those. And the Little League's willing to spend the money, but, is the town going to be okay with it? And the board approved it, but it never, again, COVID hit.
Somewhere
and
the ball
didn't
was
move
dropped,
forward.
it was because of COVID, right?
Yeah, but we can
That would be
certainly,
great.
you can certainly look into
Yeah.
that.
And then my last thing, I promise. I know that there's been talk on and off about getting a town Facebook page. I'm just curious if there's been actual consideration on that.
It actually went up last week. It doesn't have any content on it, but it is there, and we're gonna, next week or two, we're gonna start mirroring what's on the town Kinderhook page, and whenever we can throw on there, we'll
Nice.
pretty much the same content. And,
With reminders about the meetings and stuff.
yes.
It would have been great, and I was talking to Philip today, it would have been great to advertise having Kara and stuff here, but we use the community boards to the best that we could, but, so yeah, I was just curious if we were, so that's great.
That's
Slowly but surely.
Yes.
Is that it for public comments? So now we're going to move on.
We have Larry.
Deputy
Oh,
Mayor.
sorry.
Oh, I think I would just like to introduce myself. I'm Larry Ellaby, Erman retired. I'm the village trustee of Glacier and deputy mayor. And I just want to thank all of you, our board members, for what you do. It is something that is very much needed for the community. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
too.
you, thank you too.
Thank you too.
Yeah, so you're gonna have, think people speak to the chicken proposal?
That's next, yeah, yes, old business.
Pardon?
We're moving on to that right now.
Okay.
So old business is the petition to change the town code to allow backyard chickens in the hamlet, I believe.
Yeah,
Members of the
Bandy-
board or president?
Yeah, Bandy was,
Yeah, so the committee did meet, last week. Our attendance wasn't as stellar as it could have been, but
Quality.
we had quality members there, Phil and myself and some others. I did prepare a draft that I circulated to members of the committee, and they're looking at it and giving some comments back. And then if, we have a draft, then I would expect that we would get that to Kim so that the board could look at it next month, and start that process.
So where will it go from there? Do you have a public public hearing?
There'll be a public hearing, because, it's set forth within the zoning code, what the town law requires is that this board, if they deem it to be acceptable, they send it to the planning board, for the town planning board's review and comment, and they'll also send it to the county planning board, they're required to do that. So, if the board was inclined next month, if it was something that was acceptable, you could take it up, send it out for review, and you could consider either waiting for those comments to come back or scheduling the public hearing and, starting that process for you.
So we're talking months.
Hopefully not, really. Hopefully maybe a couple months.
Yeah, probably.
And in the meantime,
Looking
your
in
things are
June.
safe,
Yes,
Yeah.
they're safe.
you know, I mean, with that.
Well, and
You
they're,
know,
they're safe because they're staying enclosed, well, except for one Sunday, but we got her cracking. I took 4,000 steps in Sunday morning, an hour and a half.
Okay, moving on, we already did A, so we're gonna go to B, which is appoint Quinn Murphy to the Board of Assessment Review for term 3, set to expire on September 30th of 2022.
I'd like to make the motion to appoint Quinn Murphy to the Board of Assessment Review.
I'd like to second that appointment.
You got that, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion carried. On to C, resolution to support the passing of the New York, New Jersey Watershed Protection Act.
Yeah, yes,
It's all
yep,
emailed out?
yeah. I want to, make a motion to, accept that resolution to support the passing of the New York, New Jersey Watershed Protection Act.
I will second that motion.
It's a good thing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. We're here to announce that brush pickup will run from April 11th to June 6th on Mondays. And also, on number E would be to go out for bid for an engineer to design our water system upgrade, which is basically the water lines from town line to the Goodbye Crane School are they're past their life cycle. So we're replacing them and we're running the line to the town parks as well.
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? F would be Martin H. Glenn Building being used as a polling site for federal, state, and local primary elections on Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and the general election on November 8th, 2022, from the 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? G is Martin H. Glenn use. Do we want to read all of these off?
Read them all off and do them as one motion, right?
There's just one.
We have to add.
What do we need to add?
And 6 is the
6 was the
GOP.
one, but the second, item number 2, if it comes, it's, he kind of was doing it ahead of time and it could interfere with Kinderhook Basketball Association.
So we want to
So
table
we
that?
want to table it.
So we're gonna table number 2?
And do a motion in a second to table that one first.
The motion to table to number 2.
I'll make the motion to table.
Second.
I'll second.
What we do each one individually. Right?
Okay.
Then vote, just vote
All
on
those
it.
in favor?
I'm sorry.
Then
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. So number 1 is Aaron Perry with the, you guys can say this, right? K-Reg Dojo karate instruction to extend gym use through June 9th of 2022. Do you have a motion?
I'd like to make that motion. I'll second.
Jason seconds that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3 is a Valatia Free Library, Friday, July 22nd, 2022, at 6:30 p.m. for Jeff Boyer Presents Fun with Energy.
I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
We'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 4 is the Glacier Rescue Squad wants to use the second floor room 213 for the training division EMT classes, also EMS education and community education.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jason second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And then number 5 is Tom Banks McBride Hoops Albany Capitals, the 6th grade Ichabod Crane girls AAU basketball, as available one time weekly.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. And then what's number 6?
This one.
The GOP to use.
Yes.
The Kinderhook Republican Committee wants to use the gym April 14th at 6 p.m.
I'll make a motion. That we allow them to use it.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And that's it for that. Now we're on to public comments. Mr. Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. A couple things. I'd love to know what the Water Protection Act is that you guys went through. I have no idea what it is. Watershed protection. I have an idea what it is.
Bill has the.
Bill's got it right
the
there.
whole,
Hudson Valley Greenway.
He's got it. Well, oh my gosh. I can't read it that fast. Always look it back to something else. Chickens. I love chickens.
Right, you probably got chickens running around New York.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
But we always did, yes.
Okay. When I run, wish I could run more, I can hear roosters crow from miles away. Now, you gotta be very careful.
In these tight communities like Niverville, if somebody has a few roosters, they're gonna be waking up everybody, all right? So some communities, my daughter, she lives down Westchester, she has chickens, but she doesn't have any males. Okay, so you can't, the next door neighbor can't hear those chickens in any way, shape and form. But I think you gotta watch out.
I think you gotta put unfortunately,
gender bias, but we are addressing
Put
that.
a time
And not understanding.
Right, and what is the time limit? Maybe they don't crow before.
Right.
Till 4 in the morning.
If they're in their coop in the dark with
Keep
the
it dark a
door
little longer,
closed,
yeah.
they don't crow.
Make sure the
until
shades
you
are
let
open
them
before.
out.
I've had
Chickens, I've killed chickens.
right? I've done the whole thing. I love chickens. Right? I love eating eggs. But boy, they're such a nice dog. Oh, with the respect.
Back to the solar law. Currently, I don't think there's any limitation on the size. None. In the proposed new regulations, I don't believe there's any limit to size. That should not stand. And most people don't have a clue what 25 acres is.
Go out with Tim sometime and walk a 25-acre plot of land, or come over to my place. I'll take you for a walk too. 25 acres is a large piece of ground, and you can grow a hell of a lot of corn and cabbages on 25 acres, right?
So I think there should be a limit, and the limit should certainly be a long ways
less than 25, if indeed there ever is adopted a limit. That's it, I'm done.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I'll just say that the Watershed Protection Act was sponsored by Phil Tonko and also the senators from New York and New Jersey, Senate. And that I believe is a $50 million fund that they're trying to get to be used by local and state governments and other agencies in those areas. It's sponsored, and this particular resolution I was asked to give to the board from the members of Scenic Hudson and Riverkeeper. Yes, the Hudson River is part of this whole plan, Hudson Raritan River watershed. Just so you know, anybody that didn't know.
What I understand, it looks good to me.
And they've been asking for all the local governments to pass similar resolutions. I introduced one to the village of Valasia and the village of Kinderhook.
Thanks, Bill.
That one last one. Any board comments?
Any other comment?
How about media questions? And we don't need an executive session, do we?
No.
Okay, come on.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Close enough?